Yo, guys, what's up, man? Welcome back to Sparklight. As you can see, we're in a new location right now. We're actually at the Dash Radio Studios. Shout out Dash Radio for allowing me to use the facilities. So, yeah, I think this is going to be the new home for Sparklight. I'm very, very excited about this. You know, I kind of feel like Stephen A. Smith or something right now. You know, if I need to yell, I can yell. You know, these are things that I can do because we're not at the homie's crib. We are actually in an actual studio, and that is what you come here to do. You come here to actually record. So, yeah, shout out that. Again, shout out Dash Radio. If you're listening on Dash Radio, shout out you. If you are listening on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, also shout out you. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, obviously, this is Sparklight. We talk about the LA Sparks. That's what we do on this show. If you guys don't know, I am covering the LA Sparks on behalf of HoopsNBrews and HB Media this season. A couple things have happened since we last spoke. There have been 2 preseason games, actually. The first one being the Sparks played the Phoenix Mercury, actually in Phoenix, so I did not attend that one. Storm in Pasadena. At Pasadena City College. That was actually the first WNBA game I actually went to. And I must say, as far as the play on the court, I was extremely, extremely impressed. Like, these are literally 100% some of the best women's athletes in the world. It's physical. The game is actually really, really physical. Actually, there was one play when somebody got absolutely rocked by a screen. I mean, like, absolutely, like, destroyed by a screen. I saw one play, Raquana, she actually just joined the team. Raquana, she, like, knocked the girl out of bounds. It was, like, not necessarily necessary, but it was definitely necessary for the physical tone just to make it be known that nothing's coming easy. So, again, it was a great game, skilled, you have shot creators, like girls who can go out there and get their own shot. One of the girls women who can go out there and get their own shot. One of the women I really, really enjoyed watching play was Marina Marby. I got a chance actually to talk to Marina on Media Day. I got a chance to talk to her and pretty much just ask her. I got a chance to talk to her and pretty much just. During Media Day, she mentioned the fact that she grew up playing outside. She said that she grew up in New Jersey, and she never really was in gyms. She was kind of just outside playing and figuring out how to score and dribble and take it to the rim and do those types of things. And I actually got a chance to actually ask her about that. And here's what she said. Kind of spoke on it up there about growing up playing outside. But I've heard a lot of players say like there's a style difference between like players that come from like the East Coast and West Coast. Have you noticed kind of that like style difference in your basketball career so far?
Yeah. Obviously, like there's players from California that are great, and then there's players from Jersey and New York that are great. I just feel like it's a different style of play. A lot less of a system in the East Coast. I feel like a lot of people are outside playing pickup all day. There's not as many trainers. Not to say that Jersey doesn't have trainers nowadays, but when I was practicing, there was not as many trainers. I never trained with anybody, but I feel like in LA there's so many trainers, so many people that are helping these kids do drills after drills. So I feel like you come out as different players. Not to say that one is better than the other. It's just a lot different. And
you can actually notice that when she plays. She's very, very creative. That's one thing that I noticed in that game, that she's extremely creative. It's not a foregone conclusion that she's going to make the team, but I definitely hope she does. And also I just think that the Sparks need. You always need great guard play. I mean, obviously, you have Chelsea Gray, Elena Beard. Those they didn't play. You also have Sydney Weiss, but still, you also have Carly Samuelson as well, Tierra Pratt. But you need great guard play, and especially with the Sparks, like you have so many bigs. You have a plethora of bigs that you can go to. You can go to Candace Parker, you can go to NECA, you can go to Shinny, you can go to Kalani Brown, you can go to Maria. There's so many bigs on the roster, but you always need great guard play, and you also need shot creators. And I think that Marina can be a shot creator. In limited action in the first preseason game, well, not the first preseason game, the second preseason game, as she played against the Storm, there were certain plays, like even certain plays that she didn't finish. I just like her ability to get to the rim. And that's something that I think is definitely needed, especially when you think about the WNBA. Like there are some women that can create their own shots, but I feel it's more of a. But then this is why I think that this game is actually more fundamental than what the men's game is, because obviously they're not as athletic. So you have to more run an offense and more run a system and make sure that you do the small things like communicate, set great screens to get open. But there are those players who can go and create their own shots. Chelsea, she can create her own shot. Raquana, she can create her own shot. And Maria is also one of those people that can create her own shot. So best of luck to her. I hope she makes the team. Again, I really, really enjoy watching her. Like, I remember I was, like, texting the homie, because TPJ went with me. I was texting him, like, yo, that's like Kyrie out there. That's like Lady Kimba, Lady Kyrie. Like, that's how she looked when she plays. Like, I haven't got a chance to ask her, but, I mean, I'm just going to assume. So this is not from her. I don't know. But she kind of plays as if some of her favorite players are Kyrie Irving and Kemba Walker, especially being from the New Jersey, New York area. So, yeah, shout out her. Next, I want to get into talking about Derek Fisher and the job that I think he's doing and what he's going to, bring to not just the WNBA but the Sparks in general. I have a clip actually of Penny Lowe actually telling us the reason. I mean, not Penny Lowe. Penny Tolliver. Excuse me. Penny Tolliver actually telling us the reason as to why she decided to hire Derek Fisher as LA Sparks coach.
Well, the thing I love about Derek and about to embarrass him, make him blush so y'all can get his picture while he's blushing. Okay. I've been familiar with Derek, and that's what a lot of people don't know. And this league, I know a lot of people always think, you got to hire a woman or you got to hire someone that's been in the league. Derek is very familiar with the league. I can truly say this. I've been impressed with your knowledge of all the college players where he's up to speed. One day I was stumbling on a name and he threw it out. So my familiarity with Derek, the thing I like about him is he's fresh, he's new. And contrary to what a lot of people say is, I'm not on the court. I need someone that's going to get along with the girls. I think his personality, his passion for the game is going to be great for the girls. And being a female myself, it's going to be awesome to have a coach to listen to. Because, as women, we got to have somebody to listen to us, whether we right or wrong. And his warmth and I don't want to forget this either. And his 5 championship rings don't hurt either. So all those things and his knowledge of the game, I think he's a hard worker, because you look at him with the Lakers, and no offense to Derek, he made himself better by his work ethic. And that's the type of work ethic you need to win a championship. So I think when I thought about who to coach this team, and everybody in here know I took a lot of flack because I didn't consider anybody, but I like to say I've been here for the Sparks' whole existence. I don't have to guess, or I don't like to waste people's time. He was the guy for the job. He's different. I love the fact that he's only been in men's basketball, and what I mean by that is his eyes are fresh. He coaches a different style, and as a GM, I'm telling you, it gives, and this is a selfish point I'm about to tell you, as a GM, it gives me a lot of flexibility, because I have had coaches that I have to pick players that will help them be successful. Where with Derek, I can pretty much pick anybody, and I believe he can coach it. And for a GM, that's a luxury, when you can go out and be like, oh, give me this one, give me that one, oh, as opposed to, well, wait a minute, you may not go in their system and stuff like that. Because I do believe that you have to pick the coaches, the players, according to the coach, not just because I'm the GM and what I say, because I want to give him the best opportunity to be successful. His success and the player's success equal the organization's success. So fresh, new, energized, upbeat, positive. I think the girls, he will listen to their feedback and not be offended. And like I say, his eyes are fresh. He's not a retread coach, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
So yeah, that's a clip of Penny at Media Day talking about why she chose to hire Derek. And one thing that I really liked that she said was he's fresh and he has new eyes, which I think that that'll be something that the Sparks really need. I mean, he's coached on the biggest stage possible. Again, like you've coached at Madison Square Garden every single night. So he has a different, and again, you've won 5 rings as a player. You've played with greatness. You played with Kobe Bryant. Like it doesn't get too much greater than playing with Kobe. So I think that just offensively and defensively, and just I think more so for Derek, it's going to be about what he's going to bring to these women as just human beings. Not even on a basketball level, but just literally as human beings, because those things do translate on the court. Just trusting in your coach, believing in yourself, persevering through adversity. All of these things, I feel like sometimes are even more important than just X's and O's. And actually, NECA kind of spoke on what it's like to have Derek Fisher as a coach after the game on Friday. So check out what she had to say.
Definitely anticipating.
Talk about your own head coach and how this transition has been.
Great. I would say it's the first time I've been coached by like a true players coach, so it's different. He thinks of things that we don't even think of sometimes, and he's not just a players coach; he is a championship, legend, and he's LA, and so there's a lot that he brings to the table that is kind of, hey Carly, that is kind of like what we never knew we needed, and he's very invested, teaching us a lot individually and also like off the court, I guess you could say. He's teaching us a lot about just being a human being, and that's kind of translating to us on the court.
But yeah, so as she said, like it's her first time having a players coach, and I think that it's probably a lot of these women's first time having a players coach, especially in like the WNBA. I don't want to 100% speak for them, but I think that look, I covered the Clippers this year. I've been around Doc a lot. I think Doc is a players coach. To me, a players coach is just a person who is not so much X's and O's, but is more about inspiring his players and knowing how to get the best out of every single individual because he can relate to them. And I think that Derek can relate to them. Like Derek's been a player for 15 years again. He's won championships. He's failed as I don't want to say failed as a coach, but he's the New York situation didn't go right. So we can talk to you about perseverance and about overcoming obstacles and about what it's like to be a champion and what it's like to reach a level of sustained greatness. And also I think that he'll bring a different, I hate to use the word vibe, but honestly just like a different vibe to what they're doing, because he was in the NBA, and like it's a little bit different from the WNBA. But again, these are still some of the greatest basketball players in the world, and they deserve to be treated like it. And I don't feel that all the time they get treated like it. Like even going off a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's necessary. Even the preseason game, right? So they had the preseason game at Pasadena College, which was again LA Sparks versus Seattle Storm. Now Sue Bird wasn't playing, Candace Parker wasn't playing, Elena Beard didn't play. Brianna Stewart has the torn Achilles. Please get well, Brianna. We would love to see you back out there on the court. That's last year's MVP for those of you guys that don't know. But I feel like just having a game at Pasadena City College took away from some of the great on-the-court play. Like, it felt like, again, the play, amazing. The play was amazing. So again, one more time, some of the greatest women's athletes in the world, you can see it. They're skilled, they're physical, all of that. Skilled, physical, can get to the paint, can shoot the three, can play defense. They're intense. It was times when it didn't even feel like it was a preseason game. It felt like it was a regular season game at certain points in times. But I feel like having it at that venue kind of took away from the greatness that was being shown on the court. It kind of felt like a high school game. Now, look, I understand it's preseason, and sometimes the NBA even has preseason games. Like I remember a couple years ago when LeBron was still on the Cavs, they had a preseason game at Ohio State. But that's Ohio State. That's not Pasadena City College. I don't think that those facilities best fit a professional team. It was a case where they didn't even have, they weren't even selling concessions. I remember because at first I was sitting in the crowd with the homie TPJ. There was a girl crying to her granddad because they didn't have nachos and food and stuff like that. That's completely unacceptable for some of the greatest women's athletes in the world. You have to make them treat them like professionals, and I don't think that they were treated like professionals. And actually, Fish kind of spoke on that when it came to player development and just roster construction, and about how people go in and out so much because they have their Euro contractual obligations. So listen to a clip of Derek Fisher talking about what he plans to bring as his coaching staff plans to bring to this team and to this organization, and what his vision is.
Staff and the rest of everyone how they need to help you.
Yeah, no, what we're trying to do is build an organizational culture that that becomes a standard of how we do things. Every person that works here, there's a certain way we operate on a daily basis. There's a positivity to what we do, an enthusiasm, a love, and a connection, and that's who we want to be. And those are the people that I specifically wanted to hire on our coaching staff. Great people, but also people that can help our players get better. That's another thing that I think these players have been robbed of. They haven't been given the resources to get better as players. They come back from overseas, we just throw them out on the court, and they never have time to work on becoming better individually. So committing to player development and putting time in to making sure that players can improve, and we're not just throwing them out there to play games, that's something that we're really trying to implement on a daily basis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
In his position, I actually had a chance to be, a pioneer. I think that it's all laid out for him. I think that with his mindset and with him being in the NBA and who he was, as a player, I think he has a chance to really bring something to the WNBA that hasn't been seen. And also, I think he has a chance to be a real voice, for these women. That's something that when he was, saying it, I wouldn't expect him to say. That's something that. But that people need to know. People need to understand, nobody is really helping these women consistently get better. We just, kind of, they come back from overseas, and then the season starts 2 weeks later, and then you just go out there and figure it out. We're where's the time when you can work in, get in and, hone in on moves, things like that. I'm right now, half the roster isn't even in training camp. Chelsea Gray, she's not in training camp. Maria Vendias, she just got, to camp last week, and actually she has to go back overseas in the middle of the season to, complete her, because the EuroLeague tournament starts. She has to go there and actually complete that. So I actually got a chance on Media Day to ask Sydney Weiss about. I got a chance on Media Day to ask Sydney Weiss about just how difficult is it. With people going in and out, and with, I guess, how short of a time it is between, your EuroLeague obligations ending and your WNBA season starting. I got a chance to ask her if it's difficult for her or just how she feels about it, so check it out. Pavy here with HoopsNBrews. Question for the both of you. I know both of you played overseas, Maria, you just got here. Can you talk about the turnaround and how quick of a turnaround it is? Is it strenuous? Is it tiring? How is it for you guys?
We have such a small window to play, and so it is really cool to be able to experience different countries, meet new people, play year-round for the most part, and then come back here for the summer, get to play at home in front of friends and family. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to do it. I know that there is wear and tear on your body. As you can see, there's been a couple of injuries to superstars because of how long we go and how hard we go. But overall, I think to play the game, to play the sport, you learn, like I touched on with getting injured, you learn how to take care of yourself. You learn your limits and what you should do in order to be the best that you can when it's time to take the floor. And so that's another thing I'm grateful for our coaching staff. They're very mindful to make sure that we are rested, that we're taken care of, and they don't want to push us any harder than they have to. And so obviously you got to grind. There's things that you got to improve on. You can't skip the work. There's no substitute for it. But at the same time, it is important to balance the workload and making sure that you do take time to yourself, that you rest, that you watch Netflix shows that make you laugh, and that you enjoy the process outside of being on the court. And so, when you're overseas by yourself, if you have resources for training staff, for recovery, you take advantage of those, and then just try and maintain throughout the course of each season. And then when you do have breaks, you take advantage of those too, and you just stop. And so that's one thing that I've learned is how important it is to just stop, be a person for a moment and take it in, and then once you're back on, you turn it on.
So Sydney seemed to have a very positive outlook on it, but obviously for a coach, it can be very difficult to implement things when half of your roster isn't there. Like I said, you got Chelsea Gray, she's not here. Jantel Lavender, who actually the word came down today that she just been traded to the Chicago Sky, which pretty much makes sense because they did have a lot of bigs. You had NECA, you had Maria, you had Shinny, you had Candace, you had Kalani, who still hasn't played yet. Again, she has a calf injury that she sustained in the national championship game, but he definitely has his work cut out for him because again, the season starts on the 25th. I think they play the make sure I'm not just saying things. They play the Las Vegas Aces May 26th, and half of your roster is still not here, so it makes it very difficult to implement things. And I want to play this one clip. I got a couple more clips I want to play for you guys, but this one is Derek talking about how difficult it can be to implement any kind of system with, half of the team and some of your starters not being in camp.
How difficult is it to kind of implement some of your schemes when you have a larger lineup, but a lot of those players aren't able to play tonight?
Yeah.
How much does that kind of set you guys back a little bit to have to go with maybe different roster sizes?
Yeah, I don't think it sets us back, but it is a challenge that the WNBA has faced for a long time. It's one we have to correct. Just how can we be serious about making this the greatest women's basketball league in the world if when you start training camp every year, 60% of your roster is not there? It doesn't make a lot of sense. However, that's the way it is now. And yes, you're correct. That's why we kept the menu very simple. We don't want Chelsea and Jantel Lavender and other players to be behind when they show up. We want to have some basic things that we do. As we plug people back in, we want to be really good at those things. And the more time we spend together as everybody comes back, then we'll start to add and level up. But if we're good defensively, we're playing hard, we're communicating, we're flying all over the place, getting rebounds, we don't need 12 coverages. If offensively, we move the basketball. When you drive, if two people come, pass it to somebody else, shoot it when you're open, play together. We don't need 12 plays. And, that's the team we're going to try to beat.
He has his work cut out for him. But one thing I did see in the preseason game against the Seattle Storm was the defense. And there was that third quarter when once they came out the locker room, I think they were down 6 going into the half. They came out and absolutely blitzed the Storm. I think NECA led the charge. She had about, it was like 2 steals back to back. And one thing I've noticed that in the WNBA is very, very important to not turn the ball over. When you turn the ball over and people get breakaway steals, obviously, the athleticism isn't the same as in the NBA, so you're not really going to see, at least from what I've seen, too many chase down blocks. So if you like get 3 straight steals on, like 3 straight possessions, that's 9 points. Now you just built a 16-point lead in a matter of 2 minutes. So ball control is very imperative. I got a chance to ask Derek about that third quarter run they went on, and get his opinion if that was more of indicative of the team that they want to be defensively. And this is what he actually said.
Yeah, it was impressive. I mean, we spend most of our time talking about defense on a daily basis. Practices are mostly defensive oriented. When we came in at halftime, it was all about what we need to do defensively. We have the type of basketball team that can score points. So that I don't think that'll ever be an issue for us if we're playing the right way offensively. Defensively, that's a commitment that you have to decide you want to make every night. And I think we took fewer possessions off in the third quarter, and that's really where we got separation in the game. And you could tell they were tied together, and it was fun to watch. And that's something we got to try to figure out how to do for 2, 3, 4 quarters in the game.
So again, man, I think Fish has his work cut out for him, but I think that we're on line to see a great season from the young Sparks. Candace Parker, she's still ailing with the hamstring injury, so she actually didn't play in the last preseason game. But I think that they have enough bigs on the roster that they can kind of survive until she comes back. But again, man, I'm super looking forward to this season. I think that you have a great cast of women here. And they could really do something special. And again, I think that Derek, as a coach, just had a chance to be a real pioneer in this league. He seems passionate. When he talks about some things that's wrong with the league, like you can feel the passion, you can feel them get annoyed. And I think that that's what the league needs, man. The league needs somebody with a voice and a name like Fish in a market like LA with the Sparks to be speaking out on these things, man, because it's very, very imperative, and people need to know, and people need to know about the struggles that these women go through, and also bring attention to the fact that these are some of the greatest women's athletes in the world, and they deserve to be treated like it. And how do you expect to expand the game if the league doesn't do a better job of giving them the facilities and giving them the tools to become better? So yeah, man, this has been Sparklight. I want to leave you guys with another Derek Fisher quote. Derek was talking about who he wants this team to be defensively. Like I said, I think that judging off what I saw, I think that there's no reason that this can't be a top, at the very least, top 3 defensive team in the league, especially rebounding. Like, there's no reason they should ever get out-rebounded with the bigs that they have on the roster. But real quick, check out this Derek Fisher clip of him talking about what he foresees for this team defensively.
Well, to me, defense, is about mindset and a commitment to communicating with each other in a way that allows you to solve problems. Offense is the most popular side of the basketball these days. Where everybody's concerned about pace and analytics and what kind of shots you're getting, etc. And defense is kind of taking a little bit of a back seat, and it doesn't really come up until it actually matters. So, we're trying to build our defensive foundation right from the beginning. Our first 2 days of practice were primarily about defense. So just having the mindset that, you have to be committed on that end. And because of the talent we have, at times we're going to fall into the trap of thinking that we can just outscore or outplay people offensively, and we'll still need to be elite on the defensive end. One area defensively that really jumps out for us would be our rebounding. We've been in the bottom of the league on that end of the floor the last couple of years. Able to get away with it and still have some success, but I think it will elevate our team if we can become an elite rebounding team, which is where drafting Kalani Brown makes sense, adding Shalea Gumake makes sense, because if we can secure defensive possessions with rebounds, and now you get out into the open floor with the versatility in our roster, I think we become more efficient offensively as well. So it's an important end for us, and we have to be committed to it.
But yeah, so like I said, man, this has been Sparklight. You know, again, I'm not a professional with the league yet, but I plan to be. And again, man, I appreciate you guys for taking this ride with me. As you can see, we have a different background. We're in the Dash Radio studios. This will be the new home for Sparklight. So if you've been listening on Dash Radio, I really, really appreciate it. And if you've been watching on YouTube, until next time, see you guys later. And go Sparks and Sparklight.